Hello everybody, WikiFace14 here, and welcome to the first mod showcase that I will be doing, and I will be doing more of these, don't worry. Today, we will be covering Create. Now, I'm not gonna cover everything in Create. I'm just gonna cover, this is the first part. I'm just gonna cover the basics of Create. Now, before we get into that, I'm gonna tell you guys some things about Create. Create is basically a tech mod that doesn't have a lot of UI. It basically is a in-world technology, aesthetic, and building mod, because it doesn't just give you machines, it also gives you some really cool blocks, I'm not gonna lie. And it is available on all major mod loaders. So that is Forge, Fabric, Quilt, and NeoForged. I will try to explain that later on in the future video. I will see. But I will link everything in the description below. Now, I will highly recommend installing a recipe viewer like this mod called EMI, where basically you can just click here. Oh, nope. You can just press R and it shows you the recipes for all of these, for all of the items. I recommend EMI. There's also REI, or roughly enough items, and JEI, just enough items. Those three mods are, you can just use that to view recipes for the Create mod. I would highly recommend EMI though, because it is very, I guess I would say, thorough, as you can see right here. Look at that. So yeah, I would highly recommend EMI when you are playing with the Create mod. Now, like I said, I will have the links in the description down below, every mod that is in this video. Now, let's get started with the showcase. So you can see everything is moving now. Wow. Let's go inside. This is a brass door. Pretty freaking cool. Ooh. Now, like I said, this is going to be the basics. I'm only going to talking about stress units, which is basically the power unit of the mod. And then also rotation speed, which is technically the speed of which machines work. Now, how do you create things, right? How do you create things in Create? Wow, this is actually kind of funny. You're gonna need something first. You're gonna need an andesite alloy. Now, this is the start. This is basically the very start. This is the thing that you need to start with the Create mod. How do you create andesite alloy? You just need andesite, 2 pieces of andesite, and iron nuggets, or a new ore that is added by the Create mod is zinc. Zinc ore, which looks like this. Now, zinc ore, look at that. Now, the zinc ore actually is, it drops the zinc, the raw zinc, like any other mod. And then you can cook the raw zinc in a furnace or a blast furnace to get zinc ingot. And then, as you may probably guess, the zinc nugget is made with 1 zingot into 9 nuggets. Kind of standard stuff. Now, you can also make this in the mixing in a mixer, but we're gonna talk about mixing later on in a future video. Now, what can you do with the andesite alloy? You can make a shaft with just 2 pieces of andesite alloy. You can make 8 shafts, or you can saw it to make 6. Pretty standard stuff. What can you do with the shaft? You can make cogwheels. Either a cogwheel, a small cogwheel with just 1 plank and a shaft, or a large cogwheel with 2 planks instead of 1. Now, these 3, when you are starting off with the mod, is basically your pipes, your speed adjusters, and stuff like that. When you are starting, this is your, basically, you're gonna need to know this to basically understand everything in this mod. Once you understand stress units, rotation speed, and how to work with shafts, cogwheels, and cogwheels, you're pretty much set in this mod pack. This mod. Now, everything you see here is what generates the rotation. When I say rotation, that is basically the power that will power machines. Each machine, basically, you can power them in different ways. You can basically just put a shaft in. Simple as that. This is the very first... Oh, I forgot to put it here. This is the very first thing that you can make. The hand crank with 3 planks and 1 andesite alloy, which basically generates rotation. If you hold right click in the hand crank, it rotates. As you can see, it also rotates the shaft, which indicates that this line is powered, which is powering this mechanical press. As you can see, it is connected. Now, this is just an example. I would highly recommend getting these 2 items, the engineer's goggles and the wrench. How do you get the engineer's goggles? You're gonna need 2 pieces of glass, a golden sheet, and a string. How do you get the golden sheet? Well, that is from pressing gold ingot into a golden sheet using the mechanical press, which is right here. Now, how do you get the mechanical press? You're gonna need a block of iron, a piece of shaft, and andesite casing. But Winky, how do you get the andesite casing? Oh, I'm glad you asked. You get the andesite casing with a stripped log and an andesite alloy. It will turn into andesite casing. This doesn't make sense, right? Like, on picture, it doesn't make sense. But let me show you how to actually make it. You get a piece of log, get your axe, and then a piece of andesite alloy. What you're gonna do is just place that log. You right click it with an axe to make it a stripped log. And then you right click it with an andesite alloy to transform it into an andesite casing. Now, and then you can just break this into using the axe or a pickaxe, and you'll get it. Now, you have the engineer's goggles, right? Let's grab one of those. And then you're also gonna need a wrench. This is very important. You just need 3 pieces of golden sheet, a cogwheel, and a stick. Pretty simple, right? Pretty simple. Now, let's say you have like a contraption that, you know, that kind of just like this. Let's say you have this type of contraption right here, and then you have like a lot of shaft here. Maybe you have like a shaft here as well. And you want to clean it up quickly. Now that is where the wrench comes in. Normally, let's get a pickaxe actually. Let's get a pickaxe really quickly. Oh. There you go. Usually, you would do like, break it like this, right? It's kind of slow, it drops an item, kind of like that. The wrench is basically, you're just gonna shift and then right click. It will remove the block or the cogwheel, the shaft, or anything in this mod pack. I keep saying mod pack, why? In this mod, you can just use the wrench to remove it. Simple as that. Let's go back here. Okay. So we now have the engineer's goggles. Now, okay, I forgot to show the engineer's goggles. Now, engineer's goggles is very useful as well because it tells you. It's gonna be a bit more complicated to explain, but I will try to keep it as concise as possible, hopefully. Now, this generator hand crank is basically considered as a generator. That's like the power generator, but it's a manual. If you hold right click, as you can see, it rotates. You also see a little particle that indicates how fast it is rotating, right? This is generating 256 stress units. Stress units is basically the capacity that this power line, I would call it a power line, is capable of handling. And each machine will use up that stress units, that much stress capacity. Oh god, this is gonna be hard to explain. Stress units is basically the power. Yeah. This generates stress units, but I will call this the generators provide stress capacity, while the machines use up that stress capacity with stress units. I think you kind of get here, right? You kind of get it. There's no like batteries for this mod. Stress capacity is coming from the generators. Simple as that. And then the machines uses that with stress units. So this what do you call that? This machine gives uses stress units based on the speed that the rotation is inserted into the machine. Oh my god, this is gonna be hard. So as you can see here, it says here the kinetic stress impact, which is basically how much stress units it's gonna use, is that 8 times the rotations per minute. Now don't be confused. Rotations per minute is the speed the shafts or the generators or wherever that is the rotation is going. That's pretty much it. The faster the rotation you're going to input to the machine, the more stress units it's gonna take. It's gonna use. So let's demonstrate this by doing this, right? You need the golden sheet. This is your basically very first thing that you can do. Bada bing, bada boom. Pretty simple, right? Get a golden sheet using gold in a depot in a mechanical press. Now, before I forget, depot, pretty simple, andesite casing and an andesite alloy. It just allows you to put items on it because you can also drop the gold ingot into the ground. Oh, but and then put a mechanical press above it. Like there's a space in between, and it will still press it. But this is much more, I guess, like cleaner, and also like it doesn't have to throw it away. You just right click it to the depot. Okay, I might ramble a little bit if I don't stop. All right, we're gonna go to the. This is like more of a passive generators, I would say. There's going to be, I would say, 3 ways to generate power: water, wind, and steam. Very simple, right? Water and wind is basically going to be the passive ones, but it's not very capable. There's not that much capacity. So let's talk about the water wheel first. Now the water wheel, I think it's pretty simple to make. 8 pieces of planks and a shaft. And then you want to make the bigger one, just cover it with planks as more. 8 planks and then the little water wheel. Now, what is the difference between these two? The smaller water wheel rotates faster with 8 RPM. I'm gonna talk about these two later in a bit. The smaller water wheel rotates faster but has a smaller stress capacity. Like I said, stress capacity is the amount of stress units it can handle. And then this large water wheel generates more stress capacity. It can handle more stress, but it rotates slower. Now, what is these two? These are the stressometers and the speedometers. Now, without the engineer's goggles, you can just look at it and be like, oh, okay, it's kind of fast, kind of slow, it's just a pretty low thing. But with the engineer's goggles, you can actually see how much is this water wheel is it's capable of handling stress units. And then this speedometer, well, just, you know, it just measures the speed of the rotation. How do you craft these two? You're gonna need to craft the speedometer first because that's the only thing you can craft. Because the stressometer is actually just put a speedometer in a crafting table and then you get the stressometer. Speedometer, you just need a compass and an andesite casing. Pretty simple. And then you just connect these two into a shaft or like any generator things. You just put it into a system and then it can tell you how fast or how much stress capacity it can handle. Now, as you can see, water wheels, it is a constant speed, constant stress capacity. And you can also connect them, you can chain them up, power them, and it's gonna be the same effect. Let's try this with this guy actually. Just add 2 more. As you can see, it is rotating, but it doesn't generate any power. You wanna know why? Because this one only has the flowing water. So let's fix this actually really quickly. Let's get the water bucket. Get a water bucket. Okay. Let's cover this guy up. Oop. There you go. It is generating. Oh, actually generating 256 now, but we're gonna put the 3 just in case. Okay. Now these 3 are generating 256 stress units. I will rephrase that. These 3 individual water wheels has the capacity to handle 256 stress units. But if you look here, it is connected and it is basically summed up that it can handle 768 stress units. This this line of this line of water wheels. It can handle 768 stress units. I think it's a pretty clear explanation, right? Now, you might be thinking, it's only 8 RPM, and that's gonna be slow. That is true. It's gonna be slow. I will demonstrate. I can actually demonstrate this. Boop. As you can see, it rotates really slowly. Let's watch it press this. Yeah, it's that slow. So that doesn't look good or satisfying, right? Now, what if I want to speed this up? I want to speed this thing up. It's only 8 RPM. This is gonna be... I think this is very simple, but like in practice, gonna be a bit difficult to figure out. Create mod. You can speed things up. There is the starter way, which is basically like how you will do it usually. And then there is the more advanced way right over there, but that's going to be a future video. Because that's gonna be actually a machine that you can craft later on that basically requires other machines. So we're not gonna talk about that right now. We're going for the basics. So what you can do to speed up the rotation speed, so you find out where your source is. Let's say this is the source. You put a large cogwheel connected to your source, which is basically this guy. So you can see it is rotating. And then you put a little cogwheel diagonally from the large cogwheel. As you can see, if you basically just look at the large cogwheel, it shows you a hologram where it will place it. You don't have to like find the hitbox or something. You just look at one of the corners and it will put it for you. Let's say I want to put it here. If you look at the animation of the shaft, this is a bit slower. This is a bit faster. Now let's grab a speedometer so that we can see. This is at 8 RPM, which is basically this line. Now since this is connected to this guy to a large cogwheel, it doubles the speed, which is pretty simple. How do I explain it pretty quickly? This is gonna be a bit more complicated, I will apologize. It depends on where the input will be. So you can see here, this thing speeds it up, right? Pretty simple. Large cogwheel is the input. The output is the smaller cogwheel. It speeds it up. It doubles it. What if we flip it around? We put the large cogwheel to the output and then the smaller cogwheel to the input. Well, it halves the speed. I think that's pretty clear. The input is going to be the base. The size of the cogwheel depends on what will be like, you know, the speed change. If you put the large cogwheel into the input and then have the smaller cogwheel as the output, it doubles it. If you flip it around, cogwheel for the input, large cogwheel in the output, it halves it. This is very useful if you have like a really fast rotation speed for the generators and you want to slow it down, because if you connect it to a machine, it uses too much stress units and it basically overstresses the thing. That's very useful to know. Alright, another tip that I would show you guys. As you can see, it does take quite some space, and if you put another large cogwheel in front of this, as you can see, you want to double it again. As you can see, it just breaks it. Because if you put a large cogwheel here, it rotates the opposite way this large cogwheel is. And basically, you see the shaft, it is connecting. It is connecting this guy to the smaller cogwheel that is rotating the opposite way. So basically, it breaks the smaller cogwheel. So what you can do is grab your andesite casing, right-click it into a cogwheel. It basically, quote-unquote, covers it. You can also do it with the larger, with any cogwheel. As you can see, it doesn't really remove the connection between this cogwheel to this cogwheel because it is already connected. So as long as you right-click a cogwheel into an and there's already a connection to that cogwheel, it basically keeps that connection. And you can just shift right-click a cogwheel and it removes the andesite casing. Now, also, by the way, it doesn't eat up or it doesn't use up the andesite casing. So you can just right-click all you want, and also you can right-click the the shaft, and it also does the same thing. So, like I said, you can cover the cogwheel that you want to put that is rotating the opposite way, and if you place the cogwheel, it's separated. Oh wait, it doesn't rotate the opposite way. It actually, this is fast. This rotates faster than it is connected, so it's kind of like weird connection if you do that. So I'm gonna show you guys. This is 256 stress units, and this is, I forgot what speed this is. This is at 32, which is the same speed as this. Just put this guy here. Let's grab another. Let's grab another gold ingot. Let's grab all of it. There you go. It's now a bit faster. Now, this actually speed us up a bit more. Oh boy. This is now at 30. Oh, this is now at 64. I think this can handle it. Yeah, 512. Pretty good. Let's grab the depot. And this is significantly faster, by the way. Look at that. Really fast. So, it is very useful to know this technique so that it can compact the gears. And you don't have to worry about, you know, taking up too much space. Now, you can also make it so that it takes up as much space as you want. But, oh. But it is very useful to know that kind of technique. So those are the water wheels. Same, this mechanic where you can connect, it goes the same way as this water wheel. Let's go right here. Bam, 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 bam. Now, next up is, I would say this is the mid-tier passive generator, which is the windmill bearing, which we don't have item here. Oh god, crazy. I did not put items there. Ah! So the windmill bearing is pretty simple. You just craft it with wooden slabs, stone, one piece of stone, and the shaft. Now, am I thinking, this is cheaper than a water wheel? It does. But it takes a lot more things. It really does takes a lot more things. Now, let's make it stop. Now, the windmill bearing, you can place it horizontally or vertically. As you can see, it has like the sticky piston texture. Because if you place a block in front of it, it rotates with it. It basically sticks to the windmill bearing. Simple as that, right? And you look at this and I'm like, ooh, this is like a pretty cool setup. This is basically what you need. Another thing that you need. Windmill sail. Windmill sail, pretty simple. Piece of wool, 2 sticks, and an andesite alloy. It gives you 2. Now, the minimum sails that you need to connect to this windmill bearing is 8. So let's remove this. Oh, let's remove this thing. Let's not connect the other stuff. Look at that. Look at that. Right. This is the minimum that you can do. If you do this, you have a 512 stress capacity, and it only rotates at 1 RPM. So good luck with that. So I would highly recommend crafting a lot more windmill sails. So this is going to be, I believe, it's going to be 64 sails. And if you start it, you just have to right click it with an empty hand. As you can see, it also shows in the UI or the pop-up. There you go. It now generates 4,096 stress units. Not generates, it has the capacity of 4,996 stress units, and it now rotates at 8 RPM. These guys rotate at 4 and 8. Now you can add more windmills, and it has the capacity of up to 8,192 stress units. Maybe we could double this, and then it will, you know. Let's add another one. Add another one right here. Oh, let's try to add another column. Let's do that right there. And it should add a little bit more. It's now at 6,000 with a 12 RPM. If we add another column, it's probably gonna be maxed out. Very simple like that. Now, as you can see right here, there is this configuration with the horizontal windmill bearing. And you might be thinking, how did I do this, right? How did I connect the spruce trapdoor, this stone bricks and stuff like that? Well, there is this thing called the super glue, which is one piece of iron sheet an iron nugget and 2 slime balls. Now, well, the iron sheet, pretty simple, right? Pretty simple. As you can see, there's the UI right here. Let's remove these things because how would you connect this, right? If we right click this, it doesn't recognize those sails. It doesn't recognize it because it's not connected. It's not connected, quote unquote, because this is the only thing that this windmill bearing is recognizing that is connected to the windmill bearing. Now, you can just grab your super glue. If you look at the first block that you want to connect, and then you connect it to this thing, to the other side. Make sure that the block that is already connected to the windmill bearing is covered with the super glue so that it also makes it stick together. Let's connect this as well vertically. There you go. And look at that. It's now connected. There's also like a cool UI. It shows you what is like, you know, connected. And you can just left click to remove any sticky or any blocks that you have super glued. And if you right click this, now it works. And also you can change the direction of the rotation of the windmill bearing, which basically also affects the rotation of the shaft connected to this. As you can see, there you go. Pretty simple windmill bearing. That's pretty good. Now before we go to the boiler, this is a boiler that we can use. I will be talking about all of these blocks right here. This is basically what you can use in tandem of the cogwheels and shafts. There's basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There's basically 6 blocks that you can use to alter the speed, alter the rotation, or alter the way the shaft is facing and stuff like that. So yeah, let's get started with the gearbox. What? So, gearbox. How do you craft a gearbox? See here. Gearbox is just an andesite casing and 4 cogwheels. Pretty simple. Then the vertical version, basically just put the gearbox in the crafting table. It flips it. Simple as that. Now, the gearbox, what can you do with this? Let's grab a gearbox actually, and a vertical gearbox. If you look at this thing, right? It only goes one way. Go straight. Right? What if I wanna go this way? You can't. You just can't. But with the gearbox, you can. It's like an ad. Crazy. And the small fun fact with the gearbox is that it flips the rotation on if there's a pass through. Let's say you wanna pass this through here. It flips the rotation, as you can probably see right there. So that's pretty good. Pretty simple. Vertical gearbox, I think it's kind of obvious. Oh, let's actually turn this on. Oh. It basically makes it so that you can flip the shaft direction vertically, or from vertically to horizontally, and vice versa as well. So that's pretty simple, right? Pretty straightforward. Next is, let's actually throw this away, is the Gearshift. Now what is Gearshift? You can craft it using the Andesite Casing, Cogwheel, and Redstone Dust. And with this, let's say I want to put this right here. Right? As you can see, it does nothing. It's like a pass-through. But, let's grab a lever. Right here. And what if we powered it? It basically flips the rotation. I think this is much better if I do it like this. Let's actually put a cogwheel. There you go. As you can see, it rotates clockwise. If we turn it off, it rotates counterclockwise, which is basically what this is set to. It rotates clockwise. That's kind of weird. That is not clockwise. You know what? That's fine. It looks counterclockwise. This is clockwise. Okay, that's fine. Gearshift basically flips the rotation. Simple as that, right? You can see there's also the arrow. It indicates what it is. Pretty simple. Next is the clutch. Now this is kind of like the same as the Gearshift. If you connect it to an existing line of shafts or the generators or stuff like that, it's like a pass-through. It's literally just pass-through. But if you power it, it stops on the output side. it basically gives you an option to, like, you know, disconnect any line while you do maintenance with the generators. That's pretty simple, right? Or you can make it so that it's like a control panel or like a control module in your like generators and stuff like that. There's a lot of use cases for the clutch, uh, and you can pretty much use it. Pretty simple. And that's just clutch. Simple as that. So you can see this is pretty particular. This is the Encased chain drive. Did I show the recipe for this? I did not. It's just shaft instead of a cogwheel. Simple as that. Encased chain drive. It's just andesite casing in iron nuggets. This thing is very useful, I'm not gonna lie. I've used this in a lot of my mod pack playthroughs where there is crate, because you probably tell you can connect it. You can connect it vertically or horizontally. And what this does, it enables you to have basically connect anything like this. Okay, so you can see the connection is vertical, right? Like this is going downwards or like vertically, but I can basically share that vertical shaft powered thing horizontally with the Encased chain drive. And here's the fun part about this, I can flip it horizontally and it is still connected to this chain drive, and I can do this multiple times, as you can see. So let's say I have a floor where, let's say this is a ceiling, right? So I can just do it like this. I can make a ceiling like this, and let's say I wanna make it downwards. I can just do that. I can just do this. I can just like replace one chain drive, make it vertical, and then continue the ceiling like this. And I can just you know, do this thing, and maybe like here like that. Pretty simple like that, right? Pretty simple. Next is the adjustable chain gear shift. This is a bit more complicated to think about. It's gonna be hard for me to explain, but this is a kind of an advanced block because it requires the electron tube, which requires the polished rose quartz, which requires the rose quartz, which is crafted using the nether quartz and 8 pieces of redstone. That's a lot of words, right? There's a lot of steps. Then you grab the rose quartz and you grab sandpaper, which is crafted using paper and sand. Let's actually demonstrate this. This is pretty simple, right? Pretty simple. Let's grab a piece of rose quartz and sandpaper. Now, let's go to survival so that I can show you guys. So how do you do the polished rose quartz, right? There's the polished rose quartz. You're gonna need this because this is used for the electron tube, which is just one piece of iron sheet and a piece of polished rose quartz. How do you polish it? Now, you grab your sandpaper. You can put it either in your main hand or in your off hand. Then you have your rose quartz on the opposite hand where the sandpaper is. And just hold right click. Can you see the magic happen? It removes some durability and it gives you the polished rose quartz. So that's how you craft polished rose quartz. It's really simple. Boop, boop. Now, what can you do with this adjustable chain gear shift? I'm just gonna show you how the mod explains it using the Ponder. Now, Ponder is basically like the in-game documentation of every block in this mod pack. So if you can't watch this whole thing, you just want to jump right in, you can do that. You can just press hold W and it shows you basically a demonstration. Now, I'm not gonna show you here, of course. I'm still gonna do it here. Duh. So let's do this, right? Let's do this thing. Now this needs a redstone signal. Ow. Let's do this. There you go. And then I'm gonna need a speedometer. So this is rotating at 12 RPM, right? And I'm gonna let's just put like this thing and then another thing right here, so that I can show you guys the power of this thing. Now, if you put the adjustable chain gear shift in the source, right, in the source line, and you power it, it basically doubles the speed. of the other line of the connected chain drive. So any connected chain drive, it basically doubles the speed. Let's put it right on the opposite side. There you go. As you can see, look at that. It doubles the speed. It's now at 24 RPM, and in the original line, it's still at 12 RPM. Now, let's remove it from the source and then put it onto the opposite end, or any other chain drive except the source line. Well, it basically halves everything that is on the adjustable chain drive. And also, yeah, in the chain drive it's going to be half, but the rest of the line is basically clear. It's still at 12 RPM, and that should be as plain as it can be. So I think that's every block that you can use for manipulating the rotation speed, the rotation direction of the direction of the shaft. You know, let's say you want to move, you know, like connect a lot of things, you can use the chain drive, all of that. Pretty simple. I hope you guys can use all of these blocks effectively. Now let's go to the final boss, the boiler. This is a lot of components. There's a lot of components on this, and I'm not gonna talk one part of this yet because it's gonna take a lot of things. Now, what are the main things that you're gonna need for this? You're gonna need a steam engine. It's pretty simple. A block of copper, golden sheet, andesite alloy. Simple as that. You have the shaft. We're gonna need shafts as well. You're gonna need a fluid tank, which is copper sheet and a barrel. Copper sheet, pretty simple. And you're gonna need a blaze burner. But how do you make a blaze burner? You're gonna need an empty blaze burner, which is just 4 pieces of iron and a netherrack, piece of netherrack. So you're gonna need to go to the nether. You need to have access to the nether to gain access to the boiler. Now, the blaze burner. How do you actually craft it, you know? Let's grab an empty blaze burner. Let's just say you found like a blaze spawner, right? You found a blaze spawner, and you have a blaze roaming around in the nether fortress. Well, with your empty blaze burner, I think you guys can see how this goes, right? You find a blaze, right? That's so loud. And then you can just right-click the empty blaze burner with to the blaze, and it gives you a blaze burner. And you might be thinking, wait, why did I get like a separate thing? No, it doesn't. Just right-click it, and it turns your empty blaze burner into a blaze burner. Because I was in creative mode, that's why it did that. Now, this is the maximum, like, I guess like a maximum, the maximum size in terms of like width and length. But the minimum you can do, let's grab this, let's grab a tank, is, let's put it like in the middle, I would say, is you're gonna need 4 blaze burners, 4 fluid tanks, and then you can just use one of these. Let's actually get a tank. I'm gonna get a creative tank for this one. Now, how do you get water for this? Because let's put a shaft. You just look into the steam engine, and then you just right click it so that you can put the shaft in the correct position. Now, this is gonna need water, a constant flow of water. You can't just like put water in and it just runs indefinitely. No, it doesn't work like that. You need to have an infinite you just need to have a constant flow of water. Now, how do we do this? You're gonna need a pump and some pipes. Now, how do you craft these things? It's pretty simple. Fluid pipe is copper sheet, copper ingot. Simple as that. It gives you 4. And then the mechanical pump, you just put a cogwheel in the fluid pipe, bada bing bada boom, you got a pump. There's also the smart pipe. We're gonna talk about that in the future. We're not gonna talk about that today. Now, how do you work a mechanical pump? Now, this is basically like you can kickstart a boiler, and then it will power itself. It can power itself basically. Fun thing about the boiler, or actually the fluid tanks itself, because fluid tanks are basically just like a big storage, You can, if you have like 4 in your inventory, you can just right click at the top and it places 4 at a time for you. It's pretty cool. It also works for this guy. Now, let's say your water source is right here. Yeah, let's say your water source is right there. What you can do is have your mechanical pump. Do it like this, not like that. There you go. Place it, let's grab the, let's grab this thing, the wrench, then flip it upwards. And then you just connect it to this guy. I think it's pretty cool. Alright. And then, what you can do, you make sure that this pump is connected to the shaft, right? Oh boy, and then just do this, and then you grab, let's grab a vertical gearbox right here, and then just put this here, and then you grab a little cogwheel, and then you just put a little bit of water, and it should take a little bit more water like that, and then it should pump it directly into it. Oh, it's not fast enough. Oh no, I don't think it's fast enough. Okay, since it's not fast enough, we're gonna need to do this. We're gonna need to do these, that, and then this. This should speed it up, hopefully. And also mind the direction, because you're gonna need to make sure that the direction is actually going up. Because if you, let's say this is rotating like this way, right? But let's say I rotate it the opposite way. It goes down, and you just have to right click it to go up. So that's pretty good. You know what? Let's actually flip this around. Let's actually click and hold. There you go. Let's rotate it. And it's now still going upwards. Okay, that's crazy. Okay, that's totally fine. Clockwise. Still going up. So you can see, if you have the goggles, it tells you the details of the boiler. There's the size, the water, and the heat. The heat is basically the blaze burners. It's currently at a passive mode right now, because we don't have any fuel fed to the blaze burners, because the blaze burners can be fed with fuel such as coal, block of coal, charcoal, blaze, I believe, is a fuel as well, if I remember correctly. There's also the blaze cake, which is gonna be a future thing that we're gonna talk about, because it basically uses a lot of things that we can do in the future, and then I can basically show you a better and improved version of the boiler. And then also a lava bucket. Now, you can right click it, and there's also a way to automate, we call that, to automate the basically the feeding of fuel into the blaze burners. You can also do a coal block, a charcoal, a blaze rod, and also the bucket. The lava bucket. Now, lava bucket is the most sustainable thing for this setup, for the boiler. And I can show you in the future, because it does use a block as well from the mod. That's gonna, basically, it's a bit more of an advanced block, so that's gonna need to be in a future video. But for now, I'm only gonna show you how to feed it. You just right click it, basically. And as you can see right now, it has 4 bars. If you look at the heat, bars, there's currently 4 bars of heat, because there's only 4 burners, and it's all fed. It's now 4. If you look at the water, it's a lot, because we are currently pumping a lot of water. Simple as that. And then the size, we only have 2 levels. But this guy is actually, it's gonna look at this very differently. It's like the bar for the size is basically very different. As you can see, it's generating 32,000 stress units, but this steam engine is only doing 16,000, because the steam engine can only output 16,000 at a time. Even though it tells you that it's up to 65,000, it can do up to 1,024 RPM. It still can only output 16,000 stress units. So we can just put a second one and put a little shaft to it. Make sure it is connected to the other one. So it says that this is generating 16,000, but if we put a stressometer, where's my stressometer? Me forgetting where the stressometer is? Crazy. Stressometer. It is basically just a capacity of 32,768. Pretty freaking cool. And also the speed of this right now, like right out of the source, is 64 RPM. And I think this, give me a second, this thing is, I think, rotating at 256 RPM. So that's kind of crazy, not gonna lie. Let's look at the gear. There, yeah, there you go. Speedometer. I think it's at 256. Yeah, it is at the maximum speed. Gears can only go up to 256, so it can't go faster than this. I'll demonstrate it to you. Yeah, it does it. Oh wait, no. Here. You can't put faster than that. So this is already 256. If you don't want 512, yeah, the gearbox can't. The gears can handle it. Cannot handle it as much. Now, I think I forgot something. I did forget something. It's the overstressed thing. Let's actually, oh, you know what? Let's do this thing. Let's set up the perfect demonstration for stress or overstress systems. Boop, boop. I think that's pretty good. Let's attach a thing here. It's still 512. Oh wait, I forgot. We're dealing with I forgot that we're dealing with the large water wheel. Oopsie. Let's actually do it here. There you go. This is now at 128. Is this at 128? It is at 128. Now, so you can see, with this fast, this uses 1024 stress units. But this system right here can only handle 512 stress units because there's only one large water wheel. And if the system gets overstressed, it basically just stops. And it tells you here, it appears that this contraption is overstressed, add more sources, or slow down the components with a high stress impact. So that's basically it. You don't have to worry that nothing breaks down or anything. It just stops working if the system, or say the contraption, is overstressed. So you don't have to worry about anything breaking down and stuff like that. And you can just remove the machine, figure out how to add things, or just add things. If you add another source of stress units, or like if you add more capacity to the stress units, to the contraption, my apologies for that word, it's actually the contraption, it basically continues working. Or basically, if you slow down the contraption, it also continues working. Pretty simple as that. I'm gonna show you guys this kind of an advanced thing. This is the maximum size you can make. I'm going all over the place, I know. I don't have a script, so that's why. We have 9 blaze burners right here. We can feed them. The size is I can't count, that is too small. So this is a 4 tier. You can go, I'm not sure how high you can go, but you can go, this is the maximum. I think this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 high. You can go up to 8 blocks high. So it should generate now. Oh, yeah, perfect. And then we can just put this thing. I can only feed 8 lava or 8 blaze burners. And with 8 blaze burners, it can generate 131,072 stress units. Or it can have the capacity of 131,072 stress units. The speed of 64 RPM. That's pretty cool. Now this block is what I'm saying, where you can fine-tune the speed from the input to the output, which is the rotation speed controller. Now this block is actually kind of a complicated thing to craft. You're gonna need brass casing. We're gonna talk about how to craft brass. There's also the precision mechanism, and that's a lot of things that we can talk about in the future, in a future video. And I think I covered everything. I believe I covered every single thing in this mod pack. Not really. I covered the basics of this mod pack. So that's pretty much it for today's video. I will do more videos covering the crate mod, because this is just the basics. There's a lot more things that I will cover. There's a lot more machineries in here. There's also moving blocks. There are trains. You can move entities with this. You can have like a systemed trains, train stations and stuff like that. You can move items. You can have a flywheel. You can also you have a toolbox. There's also a minecart coupling. You can put a seat. There's also other blocks you can do. There's honey and chocolate. And that's for a future video. I'm not gonna lie. Because that is it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching this mod showcase. This is just part 1. There's gonna be more parts so that I can cover the entirety of the create mod. And like I said, this is just the basics of so that you can understand how basically the cogwheels, the shafts, I almost said something that should not be said, the water wheels, the stress unit generators or the stress unit capacitors or something like that. All of those, and also the engineering goggles, you know, and also the mechanical press. I'm gonna talk about the mechanical press next video as well, because that's a machine, and we're gonna talk about that. I know this video is kind of long, but I did go into detail on every single thing so that you guys can understand it with some guided help. And that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will do more of this, like I said, and also if you have any mods that you want me to cover, to do a showcase with, just go drop a comment down below, and I will try my best to do more mod showcases as well. And here's the thing, I'm gonna do this at my own pace. I can't just produce this really quickly, because it just takes a lot of time as well to prepare and also like make sure that everything is accurate from what I'm saying, because I don't have a script. I'm going off the rails. That's why this video is an hour long. 50 minutes long, I'm sorry. Alright, thank you guys much again for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned something today. And see you on the next video. Good. Bye-bye.